So one of the things that I got picked on a lot when I was growing up is because of the fact that I liked wrestling. Wrestling was just one of those things where, as a kid, you liked it, and you had a social group of kids that liked it as well. But then you get picked on, made fun of, because there's going to be, a group of other kids and stuff like that that'll be like, "Why are you watching that? That's, gay, that's stupid, it's whatever." So it's like, why wrestling? Why have I entered myself into the wrestling zone? Why have I entered myself into this world? This big fat world of multiple outlets of different types of things, all sorts of like things happen in wrestling. You take one foot into wrestling, you think there you know it all. You think you can just watch WWE and you think like, "Oh, that's it. That's the only thing." Nope, there is plenty more out there. There is hundreds of different types of things, different types of shows, different types of styles, different types of countries that do wrestling. And so it's very fascinating to see how it all comes together. So one of the weird things that I got is into wrestling. Now, I never actively did it, but I was always a fan of it. And I started back when 2008, 2009, somewhere along that time frame. I had switched on. I was television surfing because, back in the day, there's no Netflix, there's no Hulu, there's no nothing, there's no streaming. You had Xfinity or Comcast on demand, but that was it. So, and of course, like, that had to be on the main TV. If you had like a room, like me living with my parents as a kid, you're gonna have like a basic cable box with like whatever channels you have. So there's a limited amount of channels, and so I'm just surfing the channel past 8 o'clock, and next thing you know, I come across TNA. I did not come across WWE like any other person out there, and most fans, most casuals. I have come across TNA, and it was a very interesting show, and it kind of caught my attention. I can't remember exactly what episode this was, but there was the likes of AJ Styles. There was the likes of Sting, one of my absolute favorite wrestler in the world today is this man named Sting. And when he came out, I thought he was just the coolest looking dude in the world. And TNA at that time was just going on an uphill too. The product was good. It was getting better. It didn't stop getting better up until, of course, 12, somewhere around there, 2012, 2013. That's when it just kind of started sloping down. So that 5-year tenure of being a fan, I think I hit a good spot. Went to join TNA, and of course, YouTube. There's a whole bunch of videos back in the day. I'm sure there's still plenty now, but when you're discovering things, when you've got plenty of time on your hands as a kid, you basically just start doing whatever you want. And so I browsed and surfed on my laptop of like all sorts of different wrestling matches, and I learned so much more about the wrestling world that way. I flipped on WWE here and there. I had eventually learned about it, and it wasn't my forte at the time. I believe Jeff Hardy. I turned on just randomly. My first television viewing of it was WWE Superstars, and Jeff Hardy was doing a match. And this was actually the day that I went and bought my own Xbox 360. I had not had an Xbox 360. My brother did. He had Halo 3. Sometimes I would sneak into his room and play Halo 3. And I thought it was just like the coolest thing. I played matchmaking, and I thought I did pretty good. Granted, I did nothing but play my original Xbox and played a lot of Halo 2 by myself. So I practiced a lot by myself, which was a little sad if you think about it. But eventually, I saved up about $100, just doing whatever, working with my dad and doing stuff. And eventually, I gained enough money, and I was waiting on my mom and to leave the house to go pick up this Xbox 360, and it was a used Xbox 360, and this was actually off of Craigslist. I found a ad on Craigslist about an Xbox 360, and it was $100. Dude just didn't want it. He had the video game Left 4 Dead with it as well for free, and I'm like, bet, thanks. So Left 4 Dead, actually, it was Left 4 Dead 2 or 1. I can't remember. I think it was the second one. I don't know. One way or the other, I had Left 4 Dead, and that was one of the first actual video game I owned for the 360. But shortly after, definitely took a trip to Walmart and got Halo 3 and Xbox Live membership. And oh boy, my life has changed. I've just been on that bad boy, and that's all I could think about. And anyways, that's getting off topic. So while I was waiting for my mom, I turned on the TV and I was flipping channels, and WWE Superstars was on, and Jeff Hardy was doing a match. I can't remember who, but he did a swanton bomb and everything, and I thought that was pretty cool. So I watched it here and there. I can't say I was religious like I was with TNA, and I don't know. Just as a kid, like, it gained a lot of my attention. There's not really any consistent TV show that I always kept watching other than Tosh.0. I don't know if anyone remembers that show. I'm pretty sure people do. That was a pretty hilarious show. But other than, like, there was the Daily Show on Comedy Central that I would flip on sometimes. But other than, like, there was just no consistent TV show that I watched at a certain time point. So, and I wasn't a fan of any other sports either at the time. As a kid, I just didn't really care for sports, and I mean, I still kind of don't to this day either. I don't really watch football, especially because it's harder to watch my favorite team get killed. I don't watch soccer. I mean, I understand watching soccer. I get the hype of it. I don't watch, I don't know, golf. I don't know who watches golf. That's just weird to me. I understand going to the event, but I don't know. I can't sit at the event and just, like, watch people golf all day. I gotta be doing something with someone. So it's just, wrestling is like a very different thing. It's sports entertainment, so it's not sports per se, but there's definitely a lot of movement. You got to be an actual athlete to be in that ring and to actually do stuff. You can't just be an average Joe like me and expect to do things. No, you actually have to go to a wrestling school and train for however many months it takes for you to train, and then just do what you can and hope that you're good at it. But yeah, no, why wrestling? I mean, why not wrestling? I mean, it's just as good as watching a movie. People like to say the argument, well, wrestling's fake. Well, yeah, but I don't know what's going to happen during the show. Do you know what's going to happen during the show? I don't know what's going to happen during the show. I don't know who's going to win or lose. I don't know what's going to happen after the match. I don't know what this dude's about to say on the microphone. I don't know what's going to happen in the next moment. It's so much possibility that can happen, and people just don't realize that, I guess. It's like, people say it's fake. Well, so are movies. So are your TV shows. So is literally 90% of the things you see on the internet. People believe that. People believe anything on the internet when you're not supposed to. I've grown up saying don't believe things that you see on the internet because they might not be true. And so many people are just under the illusion that they are true now. And so it's kind of backwards how society was and how it is now. But that's just another point. But why wrestling? Why not wrestling? I mean, shoot. I mean, in some of the matches as well, some of the matches tell a story. And the crowd is super energetic. I've been to multiple shows, and I've gone to shows where the crowd's meh. I've gone to shows where the crowd is fantastic. Just like the recent show that I went to is AEW World's End. I've talked about it before. That crowd has been one of the most electrifying crowds that I've been to in a long time. And I know when I've gone to WWE events before, sometimes the energies just don't match. I mean, it does match now that they have gone to Europe, now that they've toured around different countries, and they've gone to all sorts of areas they've never been. Well, I'm sure they've been to, but like they haven't aired SmackDown or Raw live before. So it's very fascinating to see that European crowd really go out there and really just hype up the show. Even if the show is mid at best, that crowd is having a great time, and that's the energy that like I feed off of. So when I went to World's End, I fed off that energy, and I know I almost lost my voice that night. So that's why, I mean, just where else are you going to find that? I mean, sure, you can go to other sporting events, and, it's not like fun when your favorite football team is getting killed and demolished, and like there goes all the crowd energy. And I mean, it's there. The crowd energy is there. When people score football or touchdown, I mean, it's there. Or score a point in soccer or even basketball. Like, I get it, but not all the time it's gonna be like that. I mean, I don't know. It's such a weird thing. Wrestling is just so different, so different, and I don't know. It is sports entertainment, but it's not like a real sport. So it's not like winning the World Cup means anything in comparison to, like, getting a WWE championship. Like, what are you going to value more, the World Cup or the WWE championship? Most people are going to value the World Cup over the WWE championship over anything, especially a lot of Europeans. I mean, it is what it is. I mean, granted, don't get me wrong, though. The championship in WWE is so prestigious, though, because only a select few have held it. It's not like you can just work in WWE and expect to receive it. No, you really got to actually, like, prove yourself as a character, and you really got to be out there. So it's not like, you can just go dandy-wandy into the company and, like, pretend like you're best and get it. No, they actually have favorites, and they got to pick people, and that's just how the system works. But luckily, just other promotions, because here's the thing. Like, I don't watch WWE. I watch AEW. I watch AEW because it's, more for me, more for my kind of content. WWE has always been directed towards kids, and it's always been more family oriented, and that's fine. There's no problem with that. That's why it's super popular. And don't get me wrong, there are stories into it that can be perceived to adults as well, and adults can correlate with that story. So it makes sense. That's why WWE is so up there, and that's why AEW, like, especially after recently. Everyone has seen what Jon Moxley has gone through. If you're a wrestling fan, everyone has seen that Spike 2x4 had been stuck on his back. That is definitely not kid friendly. That was probably one of the more gruesome things I've seen live on TV, and that is definitely not gonna, like, put AEW up there next to WWE for sure. But again, two different types of content. So we're looking at, one, again, family oriented, and then we got more adult oriented, but like more like edgier content. So we're looking at two different products, and it's so needed. Whether people like that or not, it is so well needed and so well balanced, because not everyone can enjoy WWE. You are going to live in a world where not everyone will be able to enjoy one product. People will always be complaining about one thing or the other. So they're going to look for alternatives, and they're going to watch that alternative. Same thing can be applied to so many other things in the world. But that's why, like, again, I just don't find that content interesting. That's why I watch AEW and other things. New Japan is pretty interesting. I like that, but I don't religiously watch it. I upkeep with it. Same for WWE. I'll upkeep with it, but I'm not gonna, like, watch it for 3 hours. Or, man, they have multiple hours per week now, and it's just so I can't watch it. There's, you got your Raw, you got your NXT, you got your SmackDown, and now they're taking over indies. So they are now they got like an indie promotion, it looks like, called Evolve. Evolve has been a thing, but I guess it's now more WWE oriented. So they have that on Tubi or whatever it's called. Tubi? I can't remember. Anyways, that's on a free network somewhere. So it's not really like a must watch, but it's like it's there. There's just so much WWE programming, and then of course the occasional pay-per-views, or well, PLEs that they like to call it, premium live events for the weekend. I don't know. I think I will forever call them pay-per-views. Pay-per-views will always be my go-to when I'm calling things, a premium live event. It's just I don't know what's different about a premium live event comparing to a pay per view, because you're still trying to pay for that service. You have to pay for wherever it's going to be, whether it's on Peacock or Netflix, depending on where you're at. Sometimes you even have the cable providers. Like if you still have a premium live event on a cable provider to sell, would that not be a pay per view? I don't know. So I am still going to call them pay-per-views whether they like them or not. I don't think any other sporting event's really going to change that. I think a lot of boxing and MMAs are still going to use the term pay-per-view. It's just, why change it? Just to be different, just to stand out. I don't like that. Just stick with pay-per-view. It's always been pay-per-view. There's nothing special about anything else. Just stay with the program. Oh well, it's not my company. I'm not the multi-million billionaires that run it anyway, so it's not like my opinion matters, or yours. But yeah, no. But I grew up with TNA, and then when TNA died, I didn't really get into wrestling all that much. I mean, 2013. I mean, the whole CM Punk thing was interesting, and I did watch WWE after that actually. As WWE died, or not WWE, TNA. As TNA died, or was dying at the time when things were just falling off the rails, I fell off and I just watched WWE. And I think I joined in a good time. I'm not sure. It wasn't like they were producing the best content, but it was alright enough for me to upkeep with it. So eventually, 2013, 2014, 2015, you got some pretty good stuff going on. You got some pretty interesting stories. You got John Cena appearing every day. You got the Bray Wyatt family. You got the Shield. So things were starting to get interesting. The Authority was happening. You had Daniel Bryan's whole Me Too movement, or no, Yes movement, not Me Too movement. What am I talking about? I'm just tired. No, it's the Yes movement. So that was pretty entertaining. Batista coming back to wrestling. I have always been a fan of Batista as a wrestler. So it's kind of sad to see him like just retire that way. I don't know. He didn't get like a whole tour or anything. He just lost to Triple H at WrestleMania. So, in a match where Batista just basically got like brutally, murdered. He had like no offense whatsoever, or no defense either. He was just getting shambled by Triple H the entire time. I thought that match kind of sucked, and then he lost, and it's like, well, why would this be your last match? I don't know. Just that the story was interesting, but whatever. Yeah, that's carrying away from the conversation. Anyways, no. I watched WWE from 2013 up until 2019 when the product was just getting worse. It was getting exciting because like WWE was going on Fox with SmackDown, and that was like a whole big thing. But then it kind of quickly died with the whole dog food and Roman Reigns and Baron Corbin angle, and it was just like meh. And then coming out in a big dog mascot, that was weird. So there's just 2019 was just not good for WWE, and it's very miraculous how they got out of that position, because Raw, they've been having shows with like 3,000-4,000 people, so they're getting like low attendance, which was like unheard of. It's been so long since they dropped that far. And then obviously COVID hit, but I think the best time was for WWE was between like 15 to 17, 18 maybe. I think that small little time period was so great. They actually had a brand split. WWE superstars weren't going across other brands like they are now. They actually stuck, and Raw and SmackDown felt like two separate shows. NXT was always a separate show, and they had stars over there. But Raw and SmackDown, both of those two shows had separate things going on. And that's what I really liked about that time period, is that it just felt different. And SmackDown was utilizing different talent, and Raw was doing whatever Raw was doing. But like, I watched it. I was able to upkeep with it. And I don't know, they just kind of ran away from that, especially when COVID hit. And then, of course, COVID hit. AEW started in 2019. I was there for the rally in AEW in Jacksonville at the stadium, the Everbank Stadium. They hosted a rally before a SmackDown episode happened, in 2019. And it was a good WWE SmackDown episode that oddly enough had Daniel Bryan kind of being the main star of the show. He was a heel at the time, and that's when he had the eco-friendly WWE Championship, where it was made out of I can't remember what it was made of. It was like a recyclable championship belt. It was funny. But yeah, no, there's like no mentions made at that SmackDown about AEW or anything like that. And I mean, why would they want to mention it? Why would they want to say anything about it? So obviously, the AEW hosted a rally like an hour before like doors open or anything like that over there. And I thought that was pretty smart. That was very tactical. I was there for it. I was there to see all the stars get up on the podium, speak. I wasn't like the first one there, and that's kind of my regret, because when I got there, everyone had already taken over the barrier. There's not really like uh, there wasn't really much of a height issue. Or actually, there was a height issue. I wasn't able to see. I was able to see, but I just wasn't able to see as much. I had to look over people's heads. There was a lot of tall people there too. I'm like 6'2". Everyone else there is like also tall for whatever reason. But you know, also got a lot of wrestling fans. So I was definitely like in the back of that crowd, and I had to look over people just to see the podium and all the stars and stuff like that. And I was able to take pictures. I was able to see them all. I was able to get all that stuff. And what a like exciting time that was for AEW. So I bought a Matt and Nick Jackson shirt, Jacksonville shirt. It was Duval themed and stuff like that, so I had to. Bought the shirt. It still hangs in my closet. I wore it here and there at some AEW events. I know one episode I was wearing it with a Hawaiian shirt. I can't remember when, but I was definitely on TV with that bad boy. Anyways, so I was starting to drift away from WWE and onto AEW because of the exciting stuff that they were doing, and it was well needed for how bad WWE was. And then, of course, COVID happened, and WWE was making a lot of weird decisions where they were cutting a whole lot of people, a whole lot of wrestlers, and a whole lot of things. AEW, they kind of remained the same, and they hosted the show at Daly's place, and I was there almost every show. And let me tell you, one of the most exciting things in my time, because I was just working, and I was just coming home and going to the show. I was happy. I was probably the happiest I've been in so long, honestly. Just that COVID era. Like, a lot of people have so many complaints about COVID. I did not. Everyone hated being home. Everyone hated being locked up. Everyone hated just like this and that. I'm over here like, man, there is no traffic on the road. There's wrestling events every week. My life didn't change. I'm still rolling. I'm still going to work. I'm still doing what I need to do. Work was actually a lot easier with the breakdown because there's less people. I'm not too much of a people's person, so working with people, it's already a pain in the butt to deal with, but having to deal with it less, now that was my forte. So having that happening, and then having wrestling happening, and then having my life just kind of turn upside down for the better, I mean, I was just happy. I had no complaints whatsoever throughout that era. I didn't mind wearing a mask. I mean, at the end of the day, there's nothing that you can do to change opinions. There's nothing you can do to change your state or country. You're a single person, and there are going to be millions of votes and millions of stuff that can happen, and you're just a one of a billion. And so there's not really like, I'm just following the herd at this point. What else can I do? So they tell me to wear a mask. I'm wearing a mask. I'm going to a wrestling show, and I'm going to be happy. So that's what I did. I've gone to hundreds of wrestling shows because of Dailies and the show that they did there. It was interesting because as cities were having a shutdown, originally what AEW did was they were going to host a show at Daly's place, and before Jacksonville got locked down, they had posted that it will be an all open event, like everyone can be there. I can't remember if it was supposed to be free or if they were going to sell tickets, but I do know that they were going to get the doors open, and then next thing you know, everyone got locked down. Every freaking city got locked down. So it didn't take too long. I think it took like a month or two for them to start getting people back in the crowd. But it wasn't a large crowd. I was there for the first show that they opened up the crowd, or at least opened seats. April, somewhere in April. I think it was April. Oh, don't quote me on it. Anyways, shortly after lockdown, yeah, they set off a show. It was on a Thursday. It wasn't a Wednesday. It was a Thursday night Dynamite, and I went there, and it was good. I really enjoyed it. It was nice outside. Everyone was separated from each other. There's like hardly any people in the crowd at the time, but it was exciting, really exciting. And I was so fortunate to be there. I was fortunate to be there to see Brody Lee wrestle. I was very fortunate to see a whole lot of just 2020 action going on. Kenny Omega becoming champion. That was pretty awesome. Winter is coming. And seeing what Kenny did after that, going invading TNA, getting their championship, and then you just didn't know what's going to happen next. Sting debuting, I was there for that as well. I believe that happened on the same day. They hosted multiple pay-per-views over there as well, and I've definitely gone to all those pay-per-views. They've also done a house show at Daly's Place. They did it during WrestleMania. It was WrestleMania coming up in 2021, and it was still lockdown-ish. So there's definitely a lot of fans that were coming down to Florida for that. So they did a house show like a couple days before WrestleMania for those who were traveling, and I don't know. I think it was the same people that went to that show, but I don't know. Anyways, that show was pretty exciting. I tweeted about it at the time. It was good. Yeah, no. It was the first house show I went to for AEW. It was called The House That Always Wins or something like that. What else? Yeah, no. Wrestling. And then we go all the way up until now. Wrestling is different today than what it was, for sure. What it was last year, year before. Wrestling always changes. So now there's it feels like there's a different vibe to AEW than what there was when it first started, for sure. And I don't know, the aesthetics of AEW starting back in 2019 is way different, but I really like that vibe. I really liked what it is. Now, I mean, they're kind of reverting, but kind of not. They're trying to keep things new and fresh. I understand that. But it's definitely not what it used to be in 2019. But, you know, at least they got different stars. At least they're pushing different people. It's not the same old, same old. It's different. That's what I like about the product. I don't know. And another thing about wrestling is that there's a lot of character development. So in wrestling, you're just not just watching it for the wrestling. You're watching it because there's a person, like a character being developed. There's stories happening. Hangman Adam Page, he is probably unintentionally the greatest storyteller in wrestling, in AEW specifically, for his upbringing, downfall, and then his upbringing again, and then multiple heel turns, but reasonable heel turns, and his face turns, but reasonable face turns. Like, he turned a bad guy, but you can't blame him for turning a bad guy because, you know, X, Y, and Z happened. So there's just so many different character developments happening in wrestling that people don't understand. It's like watching a character in a movie where it's kind of the same thing applies. The more you watch this character and the more you kind of like him. That's what it is in wrestling. And people just, I guess, don't understand that. I don't know. It's kind of hard to explain why wrestling, but like it's just one of those things where it's like, why not wrestling? Why not? Give me a reason. Why not? You give it a chance? No? Okay, why not? So, and the great thing about the future, it seems like anyways, from what I could tell, is that wrestling's just become more accepting. It's definitely gone so popular. WWE, as bland as the product I think it is anyways, everyone else can have a different opinion. No matter what, everywhere WWE goes, sold out. They've been selling 50,000 baseball stadium shows. It's been crazy what they've been able to accomplish. AEW was able to host the biggest wrestling event in the United Kingdom. Wrestling, without a doubt, is so much bigger. It's probably bigger than when it was in the Attitude Era. Who knows? Attitude Era, everyone loved wrestling, but then it just quickly died. And then now, I don't know what to call this era. What is this era called? Triple H era? Well, if it's Triple H era, his era is going to last a long time. Anyways, I think that's all I have to talk about wrestling. It's why not wrestling? Just enjoy wrestling. If you don't like WWE, that's fine. You don't have to watch WWE. Don't watch it. If you don't like AEW, that's fine. Don't watch AEW. And then, it's not for you. It's like, not all movies are for people. Not all movies are going to be, everyone's favorite. And there's nothing you can do about that. Some people are just going to hate your movie. Just like how some people are going to hate your content. Some people are going to hate wrestling. That's fine. People hate every day. There's no time for me to hate. There's just enough time for me to end this show and continue on about my day and make another episode for another time. So, if you had liked, watched, and do whatever, comment, rate, subscribe. I will see you guys next time. Thank you for tuning in, listening in, and whatever it is that you do in life. Go to bed.